There are moments in life when you feel the heat rising, moments when the pressure tightens around your chest, when circumstances corner you, when the future narrows to a frightening point, and the only thing you can sense is the intensity of what's burning around you. And in those moments, something primal within you wants to run. From pain, from confrontation, from discomfort, from transformation. You tell yourself the fire is dangerous. You assume it will destroy you. You fear that if you stay in it long enough, something essential within you will be lost forever. But God, in His paradox, His wisdom, and His eternal patience, knows the truth you cannot yet see. The fire you fear is the one that refines you. It is not meant to consume you. It is meant to reveal you, and not the fragile, uncertain, trembling version of you, but the one He has always known you could become. The human instinct to flee the flame. We are wired to avoid pain. We are conditioned to choose comfort. We naturally cling to stability, predictability, and safety. So when spiritual or emotional fire rises, when relationships break, when finances collapse, when sickness enters, when people betray us, when prayers seem unanswered, our instinct is to recoil. We whisper, "Why is this happening? Why now? Why me?" But hidden beneath the instinct to flee is a deeper truth. You don't fear fire because it is painful. You fear fire because it forces you to confront what must change. The flame threatens everything within you that is weak, dependent, unsteady, unaligned, or built on illusions. Fire exposes what comfort conceals, and that is why God allows it. Not all fire is destruction. Most people see fire as a threat, but God does not use fire the way the world does in Scripture. Fire is not merely a symbol of destruction. It is a symbol of purification, presence, identity, and calling. A burning bush called Moses, a pillar of fire led Israel. Tongues of fire birthed the early church. A consuming fire revealed the glory of God on Sinai. Fire in the kingdom of heaven is not merely an ending, it is an unveiling. It is where old things fall away and new things emerge. It is where impurities burn so that purity remains. It is where the heart is exposed so that strength can be rebuilt. It is where the soul is stretched so that faith can finally breathe. So when God allows you to walk into fire, He is not throwing you into danger. He is inviting you into transformation. The process, when the heat turns personal, the fire that refines you, is rarely a metaphor. It becomes painfully real. It arrives as a season that breaks you open in places you thought were sealed. It arrives as loss that feels unbearable. It arrives as disappointment that shakes your certainty. It arrives as loneliness that echoes the room. It arrives as silence that makes you question His presence. And when it comes, it feels brutal. It feels personal. It feels unfair. Because refining is not gentle work in the hands of a human. Fire can be careless in the hands of God. Fire is intentional. He never allows a degree of heat that will annihilate you, but He will allow enough heat to reshape you. When the flame feels too close, too sharp, too consuming, remember this. Refining requires proximity. Transformation demands heat. Strength is forged, not gifted, and you cannot be refined from a distance. The hidden purpose, fire reveals. What you are made of. A skilled blacksmith knows this. Metal is only trustworthy after the fire. When gold is heated, Impurities rise to the surface when steel is heated. It becomes malleable enough to strengthen. When silver is heated, it becomes pure enough to shine. What if the fire you fear is raising to the surface what you didn't know was inside you? What if the pressure you feel is not punishment, but preparation? What if the heat you resent is not rejection, but refinement? Sometimes God turns up the temperature not to expose your weakness, but to awaken your strength. Because how do you know if your faith is real unless it's tested? How do you know if your character is mature unless it's challenged? How do you know if your courage is authentic unless it's demanded? The fire reveals you to yourself, and that revelation is essential for who you are becoming. The breaking point. When the heat feels unbearable, refining process has a breaking point. The moment when you feel like you've reached your limit, where the tears come more easily, where hope feels further away, where strength feels like it's slipping through your fingers, where darkness whispers that you are alone. But in refining, the breaking point is not the end, it is the threshold. The exact moment when you think you will collapse is often the moment. Something spiritual within you finally awakens, a deeper surrender, a quiet resilience, a softened heart, a sharper perspective, a truer identity. You feel like you're breaking, but heaven knows you are forming. What the fire burns away, God's fire is selective. It does not burn at random. It targets fear, pride, insecurity, ego, dependence on people, attachment to outcomes, spiritual lukewarmness, hidden wounds, and unseen sins. It burns away the identity. Tied to approval, the strength built on self-reliance, the comfort zones that became cages, the habits that pulled you backward, the doubts that muted your calling, the shame that distorted your worth, the bitterness that poisoned your heart in its place. It leaves clarity. It leaves purity. It leaves conviction. It leaves faith. Everything the fire removes is something you never needed to carry. What the fire leaves behind after the flames, something remains, something stronger, something cleaner, something truer. The version of you that walks out of the fire is not the version that walked in. Because the fire doesn't just remove what is unnecessary, it strengthens what is essential. It leaves behind resilience that can withstand pressure, wisdom that recognizes deception, humility that welcomes divine direction, courage that doesn't crumble under uncertainty, faith that walks even in the dark, identity rooted in something eternal, a heart aligned with God's will, a spirit that cannot be easily shaken. You do not emerge weaker, you emerge forged. The beauty of a refined life, a life that is passed through the furnace, carries a different weight, a different presence. There is a steadiness in your voice, a depth in your compassion, a gravity in your conviction, a softness in your strength, a peace that circumstances can't imitate, a purity of intention, a clarity of purpose, a fearlessness that is not loud but unmovable. People who have been refined don't speak about God. They reflect Him, not because of their knowledge, but because of their scars. Not because of their words, but because of their endurance. Refined faith glows from within. Why God allows the het, you might still ask. Why does God choose fire over comfort, pain over ease, pressure over peace? Because He knows what comfort never teaches. Comfort stabilizes you, but fire strengthens you. Comfort protects you, but fire prepares you. Comfort soothes you, but fire shapes you. Comfort makes you grateful, but fire makes you unshakable. And God is not trying to build a fragile follower. He is trying to build a warrior of faith. The refining fire and the calling on your life, if your calling is great, your fire will be intense. If your destiny is heavy, your furnace will be hot. If your purpose is deep, your refining will be painful. Greatness is never formed in comfort. It is formed in contradiction between what you feel and what God sees, between who you are and who you are becoming. The fire is not a sign that God has abandoned you. The fire is a sign that God is preparing you, not for something small, but for something sacred. Walking through the fire with God, you are not thrown into the furnace alone, just as He walked with the 3 men in Babylon's fire, just as He led Israel through the wilderness with fire, just as His Spirit descended as fire at Pentecost. He walks with you. He does not watch from a distance. He enters the heat. He stands beside you. He strengthens you. He shields what would consume you. He sustains what must survive. He whispers when the flames roar. He guides when the path burns. You feel the heat, but you are not alone in the flames. The choice you must face the fire can refine you, but only if you stay in it long enough. Some people step out too. Soon they choose escape over endurance. They choose distraction over development. They choose bitterness over breakthrough. But those who remain, those who trust even when trembling, those who surrender even when afraid, those who lean in when they want to run, they emerge transformed in ways they never imagined. The fire you fear today may be the very thing heaven will use to open tomorrow. When you finally understand the purpose, there comes a moment, often long after the flames have quieted, when you look back and realize it wasn't destruction. It was direction. It wasn't abandonment. It was advancement. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You see the wisdom. You see the mercy. You see the purpose, you see the intention, and you whisper with humility and awe, "Thank you for the fire." The final truth: you were not made to burn. You were made to shine. But even stars are forged in heat. Even diamonds are formed under pressure. Even gold is purified in fire. So do not fear the flame, do not fear the heat, do not fear the pressure. Fear a life untouched by fire. Fear a heart that has never been refined. Fear the version of yourself that never grows. Because in the hands of God, the fire you fear becomes the fire that frees you. And when you walk out, shining stronger, unshaken, you will finally understand the fire you feared was the fire that refined you. It did not destroy you, it revealed you.